Shalom. I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the web yeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to be discussing in this short Torah portion the weekly portion which is read here in Israel of Behalothcha. And just for a quick explanation, in the rest of the world other than Israel, this week they read Parsha Behalothcha. In Israel, since we only have one day of Shavuot, this past Shabbos was no longer Shavuot for us, so we in fact read Parsha Behalothcha, whereas in the rest of the world it was the second day of Shavuot. At some point we will catch up, or I should say the rest of the world will catch up with us. So there are many different things in this Parsha Behalothcha. And one of the things I want to talk about is the concept of Pesach Sheni and the second chance. All too often we think that we have failed in our service to God, we have failed ourselves, and we look for a way to find a second chance to remedy that. God in this parsha tells us specifically how we can remedy that. First of all, the parsha about Pesach Sheni, after repeating the commandment of bringing the Paschal offering on the first of the month, on the 14th day, the Torah goes on to say, "Vayi ha'nashim asher hayu tumeim lenefesh adam." There were people who were impure, and if they were impure, lo yochlu lasot et haPesach b'yom hu, they couldn't bring the korban Pesach. In order to bring a sacrifice, you had to be pure. So if you had touched or come in contact with a dead person or some other item that would make you impure, you could not bring the korban. You could not bring it. So vayikruvu lifnei Hashem. Vayikruvu le Moshe lifnei Aharon b'yomahu. And they came before Moses and Aaron on that day, and they were upset, and they were very sad. The Hanashim, they said, "Anachnu tameim lenefesh adam." Look, we know we're not allowed to bring a offering when we're in an unclean state, in a defiled state, when we come in contact with a dead person or some other unclean object. But lama nigra levilti hikrivet korban Hashem b'moado b'tov bnei Israel. Still, why are we prevented? Why are we not allowed to bring this holy Paschal offering that we can only bring once a year? And God answers to them. He says, first of all, he tells Moshe, Moshe tells them, stand by and listen to what God is going to say. And then God says, he says, Daber el bnei Yisrael lemor, speak to the children of Israel, saying, Ish ki yeh tomei lenefesh. If somebody is unclean, bodily unclean, not in a position where he can offer the Paschal offering, Oberderach Rachoka, or he's far away and can't get to the place where the offering had to be made in time. Derech Rachoka. Derech Rachoka can be interpreted differently, not just physical distance, but far from God, far from what you think you can achieve. So, he says, and they still want to bring the offering. And God says, I will create a new law, give you a new law, and say that these people, through no fault of their own, who find themselves unable to bring the Paschal Lamb at the first time can bring it a month later. And that's called Pesach Sheni. That's the holiday of I call it the holiday of a second choice, a second chance. And I think the key, as I mentioned a moment ago, when you find yourself rachoka, you find yourself far away from Hashem, you think, what in the world can I do to strengthen the bond, to bring myself closer to God? What can I do to improve myself? I have fallen so far into the pit that I don't know how I'm going to get out of here. But yet God gives us that chance. And the Chidush Harim says, when the Jews were saying, these people who were unable to bring the Paschal Lamb, they weren't saying as a question, why are we not permitted to do it? But they were bemoaning. They were bemoaning their fate. They were crying out to God from the depths of their heart. It says, we know that we are unclean. We know that we're not allowed to bring it. But we really want to come close to you. And we miss so much the opportunity to come close to you. And therefore, God gave them a second chance. And we learn the concept of Pesach Sheni. For every Jew, no matter what situation or what place they are in, if you will simply call out, Yizaku El Hashem, call out to God, B'chazaka, with great strength, Lama Nigro, I don't want to be in this situation. I want to come close to you. Please, I know that I've messed up, but bring me back. So Achein, he says, through the depths of your heart, I want to come close to you, my King. So therefore, by that screaming out to God, asking God for help, God will open up all of the windows of the firmament, and he will let us come in and once again become a holy person. Now the Parsha also says, "Vahi ha'am misonanim k'misonim ra b'oznei Hashem." The Jewish people were complaining. They were complaining bitterly before God. And they said, all we have to eat is this manna, this bread from heaven. We don't have to do anything for it. In Egypt, we had fish, we had cucumbers, we had watermelon, all kinds of things. Here we don't have it. They were complaining bitterly. And God was very upset and punished them. But an interesting Hebrew interpretation on this is Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen from Lublin. He says, these people who were complaining, they were really feeling sad and depressed that they seemed to be far from God and from doing anything that they had to do to help provide for themselves. And they didn't feel that they were doing anything. And they were basically giving up. They had despair. And God doesn't like that. It says we should know that even in the most difficult situation, a person should have the strength to call out to God, and God will be there. And God gets great pleasure from every mitzvah, every command that we do. So don't belittle a command that you're doing, that you're fulfilling. God looks at it as the greatest thing. And if you are sincere in your approach to God, God will accept your prayers, take you out of the situation, give you the second chance that is mentioned in this parsha. And when you have the second chance, Don't pass it up. Let's take these chances that God gives to us, the opportunities that God gives to us to come closer to Hashem. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.